Hey everyone, welcome back to Spark and Wonder. And today's topic is one that is kind of near and dear to my heart, and I get a lot of questions on, and that is how do I homeschool and how do I plan out my lessons as a mom with ADHD? So let's get into the topic of how I figure out how I get my plans for the year. And so maybe my techniques can help you a little bit. Let's dive right in, shall we? All right, let's put ourselves into the mindset, right? So you're fresh into the homeschooling. You don't know what you're doing. The school year is approaching. You have spent hours and months picking out just the right materials for each thing. And now you've got this mountain of books and you don't know what to do with it. Am I right? Because that's how I was at the beginning. I know a lot of moms are. So this is the system that I kind of stumbled my way into that really breaks it down. And the way that I have figured out to do for homeschooling is that you don't jump in from the mass pile and try to get the nitty gritty done. You start with as big as you can and then get smaller and smaller and smaller in scope. So the first step I always do is start with an Excel spreadsheet that lists off nothing but the subject and what I'm covering for each subject. As you will notice throughout this, each subject is color coded, and that color coding system goes consistently throughout all of what we are doing. So this is the topics of what I'm using to cover each topic. You will see that the subject of what it is, and then how many lessons or pages or units per week are needed to do it. And I just determine that through a very easy formula. I take the number of lessons or pages or units that I'm breaking it down by in the book, and I divide it by the number of weeks I have chosen for my homeschool year. We choose 36 weeks for planning purposes. We rarely ever go the full 36 weeks because we end up homeschooling here and there on the weekends and through breaks. And so we end up with our 180-day mark like up in April, and we usually will just homeschool till we kind of burn out for the summer in May, and then we'll stop counting at the very least. We don't ever stop learning in this house. And so we will do it. We picked the 36 because it is 5 times 36 equals 180 days. So if you only schooled on the weekdays, you would school for 36 weeks. It's kind of easy. You subject it out, and then you have your 36 weeks, and then you start this document, this first document with the subject that you're doing for the what you're doing to cover that subject and how that piece of curriculum needs to be divided out. All right, so we're walking through the process of planning here. We have decided the number of weeks we're using, which is 36. We've divided the units in the piece of curriculum by the number of weeks we're using, so 36 weeks, and we have come up with this page. Um, Now we hop over to then from there, I go to a broad spectrum idea of what I want each week to look like. And I used to skip this step, but I have determined and figured out that if you go through this with putting in like the estimated time for each lesson, it really gives you a reality check of how long each day is going to be. And so you don't get that problem of the first few days of school being like, oh, I threw much into our planning for this year. Uh-oh, we have a problem now. And so you determine that you want it to be, the pacing of it, and then you have a reality for it. So for this, I have a Monday through Friday, And I'm covering up one because that is a class that we actually go to. And yeah. So, and you can see how I have an estimated time of how long it's going to take, and I have the short end of it and I have the long end of it. Um, and it really gives a nice little reality check for what it needs to happen, and it kind of gives a general idea of how we're going to run about our day. We are not locked into this by any means, it's just a general rule of thumb. Once I get and decide that we like that, we hop over to, and this one's going to be too small for you to read because I shrunk it down. This is not a document I normally print out much of. I usually print it, I usually keep it as just an Excel document. This is actually, all of these pages that you have is all one big giant worksheet. It's just different sheets of the workbook in the Excel document. And I go week by week. And in Excel, you have the numbers for the columns or the rows, and each row is its own week. So this is everything we're going to cover for language arts. This is math. This is science, social studies, life and learning, and art. And electives. And so I just go through the week and I plan out everything that I have there. Once I've done that, I kind of get a good feel for what we want to accomplish for that week. Now, at this point, I could say you could deviate depending on how you choose to plan in your homeschool. We choose to have a daily planner because we like having a planned out option for what to do for that day. I find that having a set routine for what we're doing is cutting down on that negotiation of, well, I don't want to do math today. I want to do it tomorrow. Can we do it then? And because the negotiating can take forever. If your kid is a negotiator like mine, you could waste an entire school day and only get 10 minutes of schoolwork done because you all spent the rest of the day negotiating on what to do next. And this takes that out. So from there, my step is to create daily labels. And at this point, I start a new workbook. And I do a worksheet within the Excel document for each subject. So we have one for, we have a language arts, we have a science, a math, yada, yada, yada. And these are very specifically sized so that they can be printed as just printable labels. I do 1.5. I think it's either 1.5 by 1.5 or a 1 by 1. I can't remember. 1.5 by 1 is what I think I print on. I used to do 2 by 1s, but it fills the box a little too closely and it doesn't allow for like more freedom to just like slap the sticker in. And the 2 by 1s come as 4 in a row, and the 1.5 by 1s come in 5 in a row. And that makes my life easier because this is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then again, week 1, week 2, week 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You get the idea. So once I have the stickers, I then jump to my actual teacher planner. And this is actually what me and my daughter use. We just get a cheap one because I don't feel like spending $20 when I can spend $3. This is the House of Doolittle Teacher's Planner. If you want to do this method, you want to make sure that you are getting the planner that works for the stickers that you want, because the House of Doolittle has a bunch of different ones. They have a teacher's planner, they have a teacher's something or other, and I forget the different names, but the insides look different. So you want to get the ones that you want. And I go with the teacher's planner. This is actually for a school, so you get a seating chart and a term sheet kind of thing. And you can see we've already done, at the time I'm filming this, we are on week 2 of school, so you can see how I've already completed it. I have the subject labels down here to say what subject it is. Again, they're all color coded for that visual of what we need to do. And we have, as we complete the task, we check it off. I have labels identifying which week it is. I used to write out the actual day of what it was, but I got lazy this year, and so we're just doing a week 1 label. Um, as you can see, and we've now jumped towards the back of the book, you can see we've got something for each schedule. I like having this one that has this bar on the side because there's always going to be times when you need to add extra notes for the week or surprises. And so having this extra at the bottom and this extra over here for each subject gives you that extra space to add some. If you need to change for the year, I always end up printing out some blank labels with that color on it. And so you can just stick another sticker over top of it and you can cover it. This becomes like our weekly checklist. We don't always follow it Monday through Friday on schedule. Sometimes we go, oh, well, our Friday is going to have a very long group learning day, so we need to get some of that core stuff done first. Also, something to note that you will notice if you pay attention in here, you will notice that some of these labels are bolded and some of these items are not. And that is for a reason. I found that if everything was listed out just very specific, I would get overwhelmed and feel like I would have to get all of it done, even if some of the stuff I planned in there to be skippable. And so what I have done is I have found and I've covered and decided what are the core, basic, important things to accomplish for the day. What can't be skipped for a school day. And those things are bolded. Everything else is in just regular print. And that's not to say we won't get to those regular print things. That's to say that you have permission to skip it on this day because you've got this covered in other areas. And that really took the edge and anxiety off of me and getting it done. So that about wraps up on how I plan. If you are curious or have questions on how I do my planning, please leave them down below and comment. I hope this has helped. I hope this kind of breaks things down for you guys. Thank you for watching and tune in next time.